look at this picture. Yes, this one. When you think about it, be honest about it, right, chums? Would you think that this is correct for the mainstream media? If you look at the picture, you have Good Morning Britain's highest paid presenter, Susanna Reid, back in harness after her summer break. Next to her, the former Labour failed MP, Ed Balls. And then his wife, Yvette Cooper, the current British Home Secretary. She's on the show to talk about, well, what a disaster she has been about being the British Home Secretary. But here's where it gets really interesting. As ever, let me explain. Morning, good to see you, chums. Thank you so much for your time. Welcome, one and all. Are you all right? I'm not so bad, thank you very much. You know, we talk about the mainstream media a lot, don't we? In the fact that really it's gone right down. And many of you know, when you say if you're from my generation, of course, and older or younger, over the last, say, 15 years, newscasters now want to offer their opinion. They sit down and tell you what they think you should be thinking. We saw that recently with the likes of, Maxine from the BBC, who was delighted at the deposing, of course, of the British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. That's her prerogative, but we don't need to know it. The BBC dare not fire her, so she's kept in a job. Like this other woman, she also decided to attack the Brexit Party leader, Reform, etc., Nigel Farage. Did she get fired? No. Because you see, they don't care whether their opinion gets out into the mainstream or not, yet they're supposed to be impartial. Time and time again, we see it every single day. Over at ITV News, apparently a group was considered right-wing by this particular man, the ex-friend of Prince William, Tom Bradby. Well, over on Good Morning Britain, they've taken it a stage further. You see, what's interesting is, as you understand, Ed Balls, right, is married to the current British Home Secretary. And previously, they decided that as and when she was going to come on the show, that he really shouldn't be guest hosting alongside Susanna Reid. Susanna Reid is also the executive editor. Now, just take that in for a moment. That just proves how Susanna Reid has literally no power. Because a respected journalist would have said, look, this is conflicting of interests, right? There we have a married couple, both in high power positions, and she having to sit next to Ed Balls while she also interviews his wife about the escalating and literally out of control migrant crisis. Of course, nothing happened, nothing was achieved. Susanna Reid was subdued, and without question, I would say, again, my own personal opinion, that basically Yvette Cooper would have known the direction of travel of this particular interview, which literally went nowhere. Now, what's interesting is many people are losing their job at GMB simply because, well, they can't get their revenue in, advertising down, and ratings are literally, well, dire to say the least. But behind the scenes, there's one man that they dare not cross, and that is Ed Balls, for some explicable reason. Now, of course, they may think that they've got a coup, literally getting Yvette Cooper to come inside to the studio to sit and chat with their lead presenter. But as I said at the start, what's interesting here is, if you thought this was journalistic integrity, impartial journalism, truly think again. Susanna Reid bills herself as the executive editor. If she had any editorial control whatsoever, she would have been able to say, we need to rest Ed from the show today, it doesn't look good, the optics look bad, particularly if you're a viewer and you're very angry about the migrant crisis. But clearly she was overruled. Susanna dare not speak out. She's frightened of her job, she's very expensive, and as I said, the aforementioned ratings are dire. So consequently, she has to put up with the fact that the man that literally is now her co-host, sitting opposite his wife, who should get a substantial grilling from said host with journalistic integrity, well, she daren't do it. And consequently, Yvette Cooper fluffed and pushed them round and literally gave us nothing of an interview. But according to ITV News, of which this now programme becomes under their umbrella, they're impartial, they're leading the news, asking the questions that you truly want asked. Now, do you still believe that the mainstream media is truly worth watching under the executive editorship of someone like this? Neil Sean in the very heart of the United Kingdom.